Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Elizabeth Chance podcast, also known as Here's to Your Health. Thanks to Antoinette Day, our guest today. I want to start off by thanking SoberLink. As you can imagine, you've just gotten sober, you're working your program, checking in with a recovery coach, maintaining employment, and, well, thriving. Now imagine none of your closest friends or family believe you. So much trust is lost during active addiction, and it can be hard to convince loved ones that things are different, that you're different. SoberLink can help. SoberLink's remote alcohol monitoring system is designed to help you sustain a sober lifestyle while rebuilding trust with loved ones. It's small enough to fit in your purse or pocket and discreet enough for you to use in public. SoberLink's devices are combined facial recognition, tamper detection, and real-time results. So your friends and family know instantly that you're sober and you're working towards your recovery goals. As a certified recovery specialist, I can't think of a better tool to maintain accountability, strengthen community, and prove to your loved ones that you truly are sober today. Make 2023 a memorable one. Visit www.soberlink.com/BLS to sign up and receive $50 off your first device. Thanks again, SoberLink. Okay, so I am so excited to have Antoinette on because I just love her. She's just full of wisdom and full of grace.
Thank you.
And wise. And I've been wanting to have her on the show forever, and I finally made it happen. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I want to go back. So Antoinette, you're an astrologer.
Yes.
And you have been your whole life.
Well, not my whole life. I guess it started when I was about 10. But before that, I was quite different, as most people. Well, none of them are alive now. Nobody as old as I am living on this planet. But I used to see people very much like you see here with my little statues. And they were in my living room, sitting on the different sofas and chairs. And they were aware that I was there, but they didn't acknowledge me. They would talk with each other. I could see their mouths moving, but I didn't hear what they were saying. And so, being an active child, my mother would always tell me to sit down. And I would say to her, but there's no place to sit here. Everybody is sitting. And she would just say, oh, just sit down. And I would sit down. And this went on for years, until one day I didn't see them anymore, but I knew they were there. And that's when my grade school teacher invited me to come up on the roof of the school, look through the telescope, and study the stars. And from there, through astronomy, I went to astrology. Teachers came, and that life began very early.
And would you tell your parents that you were seeing these things, that you were hearing these things?
Well, not that specific. Somehow I knew that because no one ever else said they saw them, that nobody else did see them. However, I would say certain things were going to happen, and everybody would just tell me to be quiet because, they didn't want people to think I was crazy, which I probably am. And but then they would happen. And no one would acknowledge it or say, oh, yes, that was right, because it had to be ignored because it wasn't normal. And we had to be normal. And eventually, I decided I didn't care if I was normal. These things were important. Studying astrology, knowing things, hearing things, and talking to people about it. Most people would laugh. Some people would listen. And until you become professional, people don't take you seriously. But once you're professional, they begin to take you seriously. And that's how it happened. Eventually, I was on television. Eventually, famous people started to come, and more people began to listen. And so it goes. And so it continues.
And that's just the fact that you had the courage to keep going. But I guess you had no choice, did you?
No, I had no choice, because to me, this was what I had to do. This was real. This was very important. And it wasn't that I didn't care. I guess I cared more about the study than the comments or the laughing, especially with the children. You expect it with parents and older people for the admonishments, but you want to be part of the group. And I was never part of the group, at least the girls' group. I did better with the boys because I was kind of a tomboy and athletic. So I played with the boys. We didn't talk about astrology much. But it became a serious study. And from as you get into something, you attract people of like minds. Like attracts like. And teachers started to come. My world started to expand. And today I'm in my 88th year and I'm still doing it.
It's and now, what did your mom and dad say to you when you said, this is what I want to do?
Mommy never said much. With my mother, it was the voice. We studied voice, studied music. My father eventually told me, after I became a legend in my own mind, that I asked him why he never would acknowledge it or would never encourage it. And he told me a very interesting story. His great-grandparents, it seems, were what I guess you would call psychic healers. And he remembered being ridiculed and laughed at by the other children. And he said he didn't want that to happen to me, because what I was saying was not normal, and other people didn't do or have the gifts, so-called, that I had. So he tried to keep it down or not acknowledge it. But it's like Pandora's box. Once it's open, or the genie is out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. And so he became, I could tell you, go on and tell you stories about that. But I think eventually, when he met some of the people that I was involved in, when he saw me on TV and realized there were people that did listen and were helped by my work, he was quite happy.
Because it's a gift.
It is a gift. I believe we all have the gift. We come through with a knowing. Some of us will acknowledge it. Other people will not acknowledge it. We have free will with everything that we do. And so some of us do and some of us don't. I was lucky.
Because there are so many, we were talking about this earlier, there's so many that just go through life just waiting, and not to die, but to like they're just existing
Yes.
to the end.
Yes.
They do their life, like check their like boxes, right? Like I went to high school, check. I graduated from high school, I went to college, check.
That's right. They have everything categorized and a schedule set up. And this is what happens at certain times in your life. You never stop growing. You never stop learning. When I tell people I'm a student of astrology, they're surprised. You still study? You study all of your life, because there's always something to learn. You never stop studying. And so, yes, I do study every day. I meditate every day. I follow, as you see, my calendar every day, what is happening. And it's very interesting that we're talking today, because we're speaking on a new moon in Pisces. And Pisces governs, or Neptune governs Pisces, which is addictions, medicines, drugs. And this is a fabulous day to begin and be resolute in something that you want to begin. And I just think that nothing happens by chance. You're here today because of this day.
And now, how often is the moon? How often is it Pisces? And
well, we know, everybody living, a child knows what sign, what sun sign they are, what day they're born, and what's running at that time. Some of us, when we're close to what they call a cusp, don't know if they're one or the other. The sun is renewed. We are renewed once a year on our birthday. The moon takes approximately 28 and a half, 29 days to circle. The different planets, Jupiter, 12 years. And we can almost, through our religious or spiritual events, rituals, follow what planets are going around. They all go at different times. We have the interpersonal planets, and then we have the outer planets that take a much longer period. Mercury comes around once a month. But twice a month, there is a full moon, when the moon is in the sign of the sun. And then 2 weeks later, there is the full moon where the suns are opposite.
And that's where we are today.
Sun and the moon's are opposite. Yes, that's where we are today. Well, actually, no, today we are on a new moon because the sun is now going into Pisces at the same time the moon. I say that the moon is kissing the sun. Moon being feminine, the sun being masculine. And so it's a very, very fabulous day to begin new projects, especially on ourselves, renewing what we want, what is good for our life, what we want to increase and what we want to diminish. Perfect day. And there are a lot of other things going on close to the sun to do with Pisces. Very important planet.
And how often is Pisces involved? Does this happen every year or just?
Well, this only happens once a year. This is the day. Well, actually, there's 2.5 days you have strongest on this day right now. But this will only happen again next year. It can only happen once a year. Very important. It's not, you might think that you chose this day for us to get together. Oh, let's do it Monday. But nothing happens by chance. You have it within yourself to know that this would have been the best day.
Amazing.
Yeah, because you have intuition. We call it being psychic. You're intuitive. You know, there's a knowing. We all know. But most of us don't listen. We listen to what is being said with words, but we don't listen to what is being said within us. That's where meditation and prayer come in. But we can go off on different things.
I know, and I love that because I meditate every day because I can't and I feel like if I don't do it,
the day is not right. No, you've missed something. It's like a meal, like a good meal. You feel hungry or empty. Yes, I do too.
How long have you been meditating?
I didn't know that I was meditating. Everything happened when I was so young. I didn't realize I was meditating until I met people that taught meditation or did meditate. And I said, oh, I've been doing that. Oh, is that what that is? It's a natural thing, but the breathing, slowing down everything, just bringing everything down while our consciousness is rising. The physical us is coming down to kind of grasp or catch up. So I guess I've been doing it most of my life, but not consciously aware. Oh, now I'm meditating. I think we all do, and most people will relate to this. I realized years later, when we were in school, I don't know if they do it so much anymore, where the teacher will say, oh, wake up, stop dreaming. You're dreaming, stop that. Where you kind of went off somewhere, you were still sitting there, but you were like, everything was like euphoric and just feeling so good, aware of what was going on, but not feeling the heaviness or the burden of the body. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think children do it naturally. As we get older, we're too busy with everything going on in our lives. So we're not aware of it. But when we do it mindfully, and we should do everything mindfully, it brings us back to where we should be, or allows us to be what we should be. And everything should move smoothly. I think every class, every instructive exercise should begin with a meditation of one sort or another. People kind of think, only the Eastern philosophy should do that. In fact, I was raised Catholic, and we were told, oh no, that's not a good thing to do. The heathens do that. We pray. And later I learned that meditating is listening to God, and praying is talking to God. And we learn more by listening than talking. And I talk too much. I'm not learning very much right now.
Well, you're a teacher, because so many times I'll go to yoga class and or any kind of meditation class or something, and everybody's like, your monkey mind, because our monkey minds are just going, they're running around and doing havoc in our heads, right?
Yeah, exactly. What we do, what I do, because we're human, and these things is, I will acknowledge that I have all these things going on, and I'll let it stay for a second, and then I'll say, okay, you have to leave the room now. I mean, it sounds silly, but it works. So you tell it to leave. Just say, you have to leave now. I can't listen to you anymore. And you go back. And it makes it much easier. And becoming aware, being conscious. Most of us, well, we can breathe. We don't have to be conscious of the fact that we're breathing. We don't have to be conscious of the fact of anything if we're lucky and we have all our senses, known senses. We can use them. But breathing purposely and mindfully sometimes is very difficult. Very, very difficult. But with practice, like everything else, we form good habits and we form not so good habits. So meditation is a good one.
I love it, because it's what I do. And, and the breathing, I didn't realize, like you said, you don't even pay attention to your breathing. No. Obviously, if you wouldn't be alive if you weren't breathing. You don't breathe, you don't live. But taking that time just to count the breath, just count, breathe in to 4, hold it for just a second, and then breathe out for 4. Sometimes breathe out for longer, for 7.
And while we're doing that, while we're taking that hold for that few seconds, if we image, especially if we're addicted, with me, it's not alcohol, but it's food. Hold that image, and as you breathe out, allow it to expire, allow it to leave. It leaves every part of you. Spiritual, physical, astral, and physical. I call it, we have a 3-layer cake. And I believe first it forms on the spirit, and then on the astral part of our body. And then eventually, if it's not a positive thing, it will cause dis-ease in our bodies. It could be physical, it can be mental, it could be emotional. And so by being aware of what it is, and while you're at that holding stage in the meditation of the breath, you just release it. Not as quickly as I just did, much more slowly and gently. You don't push it out. You just allow it to go away, allow it to leave. Can you tell that I'm Italian?
I love it. So I want to talk about today.
Yes. Oh,
2023 and astrology, and where we are with the planets, and how the outlook looks for the rest of the year. We have 10 more months, right? After like at the end, in a week, we'll almost be over with February, and we have 10 more months left.
Yep.
How does 2023 look?
Well, today, as I said, today is really an exception. I can't express it enough without getting too technical. We have the sun, we have the moon, of course, we talked about the moon, Venus, and Neptune. Now, not to be even more confusing, and I think I might have mentioned this, Neptune rules Pisces. They're all together. This gives us, focusing on this now, gives us a knowing. We know positive or negative, easy, challenging. We know. And so we become aware and acknowledge that. The new moon is fabulous to begin something new. As I said, whatever you want to change in your life, whatever you want to be better in your life, you make that promise to yourself right now, through meditation, through praying, whatever is beneficial that you think to you. And you act on it. Now you have a 2.5 day period where this influence of that new moon is. Also, what Pisces is telling us. Pisces is the culmination of all the planets. What Pisces is telling us, or forecasting, as far as I can see, is all the things that have been happening chemically, mysteriously. I'm talking about sickness. I'm talking about things flying around in the air. I'm talking about disasters. They're telling us that these are indications of what is to come, and what is it we have to do either to modify or correct the world conditions that are affecting everybody now. It isn't as it was years ago, where there's a certain area, a family or a town or a community that is experiencing something. Everything just explodes because of communication, travel, it being here 1 minute and a couple of hours being somewhere else in the world. Things move, both good and bad. So it's going to take a lot of positive people, a lot of people of like mind, a lot of people who will work together to bring about new things that would be good for this country and for the world, and to get rid of the things that are now splitting, killing, maiming, bringing havoc to people in the world. Whether it can be done or not is another question. We get the opportunity many, many times during the course of the year. This month is almost over. As we go into March, planet Saturn, which is the teacher, which is the restrictor, which is the planet that not only teaches us, but demands things of us, changes signs. There are two major events happening. This one Saturn planet has not changed signs. Well, the last time it was exactly where it is now was in the 1700, and I think it was something like 1780 something. Yeah, so we're in like a whole revolution type of, and it was in this country. We were beginning a new country about that time. So it's a whole revolution starting within this country that eventually goes throughout. So it's politically, spiritually, and every other way, we're in a revolution. Yeah. How it ends, I don't know. We have free will. It depends on what steps are taken. How much are we willing to give? How much are we willing to receive? And it goes on. I fear that we're not finished with the pandemics. Is that what they call them? Pandemics?
Yeah.
Where these diseases go on. I know that they didn't arbitrarily happen. I shouldn't say I know. I can't prove it. I believe they're all deliberate, not by chance. And I don't know that the drugs we've been given are any better. But I'm not a doctor either. These are just things that I glean from what I see. But I am also very hopeful because the pendulum doesn't swing one way. It'll eventually come back to center. And we're not going to do it. I say at least we. I'm talking about people that are old like I am in calendar years. It'll be the young people. And it has to start in the home. We will know much more about how our year will end by the middle of the year in June. June is very, very important month. Next time I come on, we'll talk about June.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't finished my analysis yet, to tell you the truth. I'm a little behind. I've been busy. By now, I usually have the whole year laid out, but I will finish that by the end of this month.
All right. So we're having you now. You just promised you're coming. I want to ask you something. So if someone goes, for instance, I used to go to Vanity Fair. That would be my favorite. I would go to the back of Vanity Fair every month and read my horoscope.
I wrote in those books. Yeah, the magazines. Yeah. Yes, I know what you're saying. And read the general, your sign.
Your sign for the month.
Yeah.
Right? I'd be, because I'm a Libra. So I would, as you know,
Yeah,
just like your brother. I'm the day after your brother.
and my spiritual teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, those. Well, I say library. They're good, but here's how I really started to study astrology. When I knew the signs of the zodiac, there are 12 months, 12 signs, I thought, gee, in my child's mind, gee, that's strange. There have to be thousands of people in the world. We can't just be divided into 12 signs. And then I thought, well, no one was born in my month, so under my sign. So I knew I couldn't compare myself to anybody in the family, but there were several members in my family that were born under the same sign, but they were all different. I mean, very different. So that didn't quite fit. However, you have to base something, and it's the sun sign. The sun sign is the largest, and everything we know revolves around, all the planets revolve around the sun. So we choose the sun sign. As important to me as the sun sign is the ascendant, or the rising sign. That's based upon the time and place you were born, because that sets the compass for the rest of your wheel. Everybody has every sign of the zodiac in their horoscope. Where it falls, in what section of that wheel it falls, determines the personality, what gifts they were giving, what they might have to overcome, what they can bring, their powers. And I don't mean their physical powers, all powers, whatever you believe a power to be. And even their life schedule is there, but you can't get that from the sun. However, you can glean something. There are basic similarities in each sign. Most Librans, incidentally, that's interesting, Libra is the only sign of the zodiac that is not an animal or a person.
Right.
It's the only inanimate. It's the scales. Yeah. And
why is that?
Well, I don't know. It was done way before Babylon, I think, before even written. They chose what it should be. It's the reason, I think, is if you set up the wheel for morning and evening, Aries would be the morning, and Libra would be the evening. So it's the balance between the sun. The sun is no longer going, we see it as going around. Actually, we're the ones going around. But at any rate, starts in the east and it comes over to the west. So it's just the setting sun. So it's the balance between day and night. That's the only reason I can think that they came up with the scales. Plus, generally, they are people that are fair. They're also people that can be very indecisive. Now, and this can be modified because, well, what do you have there? What else do you have there besides your sun? So it's very involved, and it takes a competent astrologer to figure out just what you look like overall. You're more than a sun sign. And then there's the moon. Where is your moon? This is your emotion, the way you interpret things or feel about things. Then there's your Venus. How social are you? How loving are you? How much love do you get? How much love do you expect? And so there's a lot of different things involved in a horoscope, not just the sun. But when I write, and even when I was doing my TV work, I would always say, look at the sun sign, but if you know your ascendant, read that part too, because that would give you a better view of what your day or week or month or year will be like.
And now, how do you know who to believe and who not to believe? And if you want to find an astrologer, I'm asking you two big questions with this.
Yeah.
Where would you go to find one?
Well, depending upon your area, you know, years ago when I was doing my work, there was no internet, there was no computer, everything was done by hand. So really, you only dealt with people that were local, that you could travel to, or they could travel to you, or whatever. Now we're on the internet, we Zoom, we, what do you call that? FaceTime, telephone. So we can talk, and I do, all over the world. So usually I would say to a person, go to an astrologer that has been referred by another person that you believe, and of like mind to yours, and they say that they really got help or more insight into their life and into the way they are, rather than just pick somebody out of a hat, because there's a lot of charlatans in astrology, in any walk of life. So ask someone. In fact, I only take my clients by referral, who they have talked to and who they believe. That's really the only way. You can do it online, but they're general. It's generalization, because it's a stock printout usually. You want to talk to someone, because you can't talk to a written form. You can't ask a question, because a lot of it you will not understand. And so a live person will explain it to you. That's about the only way I can tell the person.
So you know what happened to me? I was at the Boca Mall, and I'm walking through, and I forgot something, so I was walking back to my car, and this young woman stops me, and she goes, "I am a psychic, and I can feel your energy. I want to talk about it with you. Here's my business card."
Whoa. Wow. Oh, really?
I threw it away.
I can't imagine. She feels your energy.
That's what she said, but I felt like it felt really like a charlatan, like you just said. Yeah.
No, you know, I mean, and you know, it might have been perfectly legit. I know,
Right.
But no, to be sure, go to someone that somebody has referred. You know, oh, this person really, you know, helped me, and I understood, and it was clear, and that type of thing. And if you get a good astrologer, he or she will probably be very expensive, because I am.
You are expensive. She's very expensive. Are you taking new clients if somebody wants to pay?
No, I take people by referral. And I've taken people, I shouldn't say that have called me, and I could hear in their voice that they wanted to talk to me, and so I did.
And so you mentioned earlier, you're 88. Okay. You're 88 years old. And I said to you earlier again, I said, "Now wait a minute, are you busy?" You're like, "I'm busy."
Oh, then I want to be. It's interesting. You know, when you're young, your age, you think, oh boy, you know, in a few years, I'll just be laying on the beach. I'll be going to lunch every day. I won't do anything. Well, I like to study. I would always study, but I won't be working. I can't die too soon, because I have a lot of promises I have to keep. No, keep working. Don't ever stop working.
And how are you so young? I mean, you would never think. I mean, you see people that we have a mutual friend. You know who I'm talking about. I know. And I always say that.
I hate her. She's gorgeous.
Oh, she's gorgeous, and she's turning 80, right? She's turning 80.
Oh, yeah.
And she runs laps around people.
Oh, but she makes me dizzy.
And how do you, I'm going to ask her this, because she's actually coming on.
Good.
How do you stay so young?
I don't know that I am. I'm laughing because I don't see myself like that. But all I know is that I'm very interested. I'm very aware. I'm very happy. I'm joyful. I have aches and pains. I have everything. Everybody has problems. But I'm happy. I'm alive. I'm being productive. I don't know. Life is beautiful. I don't know. That's all I know. There's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of terrible things in the world going on, but it's a choice. And every day I open my eyes and I say, oh, I'm happy. I'm going to be happy today. No, you have to be happy. You have to love what you do. You have to have something to do. You have to have something to live with and something to live for. If you have no purpose, you have no, and I'm not saying it has to be astrology or something fabulous in the world. Even if it's for yourself, that's a wonderful thing. For your family, for your friends, for people, just to be alive, just to breathe. It's wonderful. I'm going to miss it.
Don't even like it's happening. Stop it. No, you've already promised you're coming on in June, so that I don't even know what you're talking about. So
I'm teasing. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
Because you have a beautiful family.
I do.
And you've been widowed for a long time.
Yeah, I've been widowed for over 10 years. I have 3 children, 11 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren. Boy, am I old. And I know all their birthdays. And I love them all. They're all beautiful. Of course, they're beautiful. No, I'm happy. I hope I'm being productive. I hope I've done a good life's work. And that's the joy. Joy.
You can be rich, you can be poor,
Oh,
but it
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter in the long run. And a psychic once told me years ago, there was a man called Erwin Reif. He was quite an amazing person. Do you remember the newspaper, The Inquirer? Mm-hmm. I don't call it a newspaper. It was well, they showed him holding pictures of Frank Sinatra and another famous person at that time. I'm going way back to the 60s. And a psychic friend of mine, the only true psychic I really knew or believed, came to me and she said, she called me Tony. Tony, you know this Erwin Greif? I said, gee, that's funny. So she said, you want to go see him? I said, yeah, where is he? She said, oh, he's in New York. And I went, but anyway, he did past life readings. And he said to me something about, and he had a strong New York accent. Why do you do so much and you don't expect to get anything back? And he said, I just do because I love to do, and this is my happiness and blah, blah, blah. And he said, you know, God doesn't care if you go to heaven in a Volkswagen or a Cadillac. So I guess you could keep, I said, oh, if I had a choice, I'll take the Cadillac. But it doesn't matter because, you know, it's very cliche-ish. You can't take it with you, and you really can't. One of my children told me when he was very young that he would see to it that he did. When he became rich, he was going to see to it that he could take it. And I said, how will you do it? He said, I'll go to a psychic that can tell me who I'll be in my next life. And I'll write it out in the wheel. I created. Well, for a long time, he believed that that's what he was going to do. He was going to become a millionaire. Well, in those days, you know, a millionaire was a lot of money. And then he was going to go to a psychic, find out who he would be in his next life. And he'd write the will out.
How smart is that?
Oh, he was brilliant. He was brilliant. Not could be done. Never could be done. No, now he said that when he becomes a billionaire, he's going to leave it all to charity, all to, you know, people, help people somehow, or feed them or whatever. And I said, that's a better idea. From his mouth. At any rate, what else do you want to know?
That's all I'm gonna let you stop talking now. even though we could probably go on for another hour
Yeah.
plus. But I want to say thank you.
Oh.
And I'm going to talk. Well, we're going to have you on. I'm going to do it via Zoom because you'll be up in
Yeah.
Jersey.
I'll be up in Jersey.
Jersey. Well, love you so much.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much. Mwah. Thank you guys all for listening. We'll be back. This is Antoinette Day. You want to read about her? I'll put a little link with her website on the little description that you look at. And until next time, remember, just be happy. Shine light to everybody else. No need to be in the dark. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.